absolutely fine. Just to introduce myself, my name is Steph. I'm the Learning Manager here at London Zoo, and you've also met Helen, who's one of our learning officers as well. So what we're going to do today is just give you a bit of an introduction to who we are. So this is related to one of the assignments that you're going to be doing this semester. So we'll talk a little bit very briefly about that assignment, but I think when you get back to college you'll get a lot more of that information. But what you're going to be learning about today will be very, very useful for helping you with that assignment. So for the next probably 45 to 60 minutes, I'll tell you a little bit about who we are as an organisation, what we do here and how that relates to your assignment. And then at 12:30 we've got Anne, who's our librarian here. She's going to come and talk about zoological art, so how art has been used throughout our history at ZSL and just through communicating zoology and issues that animals face. And then this afternoon you are out in the zoo to do some research for your briefs. This is a very informal session, so if you've got any questions, feel free to just pop your hands up at any point. And then at the end, if you prefer not to ask in front of everybody, once we've finished talking, myself and Helen will both be here. We're happy to answer any of your questions. We'll be here until about 1:30, so there's time at the end for anyone who just wants to chat through anything as well. Can you see all right? I'm trying, this screen is not the best for being able to talk in the middle of the room. So if you can't see at any point, actually I might stand over this side, but if you can't see anything, just let me know. I know it's not ideal, the location of the screen. But just in terms of how this relates to your coursework, just to sort of set up the context of today, as part of one of your assignments over this semester, you're going to be asked to create some art for us as your clients. So London Zoo is going to be your client. And the brief is that we want you to pick one or more species that are found here at London Zoo to help others to connect with the natural world through your art. So the main thing is that it has to be a species that they can see here at the zoo as well. And through connecting with this particular species or group of species, you can do more than one. We want you to be able to inform, inspire and empower the people who are enjoying your art to take action to protect the natural world. So that's the brief. I think your art can be in the form of 2D artwork, 3D sculptures or an installation, but when you go back to college they will give you a lot more support on the actual how to do that. Today is more of the research trip. So today is to find out more about us as your clients, what we do, our conservation work, and to have some time to go out into the zoo as well, maybe think about what animals you want to focus on, have some time to actually get up close to those animals and see them to help you to prepare this. Is that all okay? Perfect. So in terms of who we are then as London Zoo, so London Zoo is part of the charity ZSL, which is the Zoological Society of London. We are nearly 200 years old, so next year is our 200th anniversary. So we've been working for the last 200 years to understand more about the natural world and to work to protect it. And our mission, if you like, is to inspire, inform and empower people to protect and restore wildlife. So you'll notice that in your brief, that's what we do and that's what we want your art to be able to do as well. And this is really important because I'm sure it's no surprise to anybody in this room, but there is a lot of problems at the moment in terms of the natural world and the rate at which the natural world is being lost and the rate at which animals are going extinct. So every 2 years, ZSL work with WWF and we produce a report called the Living Planet Index. And that's basically a kind of state of the natural world. How many animals are currently living on Earth, as many as we can study, and how is that changing on time? And we've been looking at these for a number of decades. So the last one was published last year and has found since 1970 a 73% decline in the average population of vertebrate species. So vertebrates, for those who aren't aware, is basically anything with a backbone. So that's your fish, your birds, amphibians, reptiles and mammals. The only reason that invertebrates haven't been included in that is that we haven't been able to study them as well. So we actually think invertebrates are going even faster than this, but we don't have the data to connect that. So just to put that into context, if everyone in this room was the entire population of a species, probably from about here on in, you'd all be extinct. And this is who would be left. So probably like 2 benches of this room represents 26% of a species. So if you think about it in that way, that 73% is a huge number, and it's going up. So 2 years ago, we did the last report was in 2022, that said 69%. It's now 73%. So although the curve is getting less steep, it is still going down. So there's still a lot of work to be done. This graph here is the opposite of this one. This is extinction rate of species. So this going up means that the species within these groups are more and more of them are going extinct. And it just kind of shows that not every group of animals is declining at the same rate as others. This yellow one is amphibians, so things like frogs, and they're actually they're going more extinct much quicker than other species. That might be because people are looking at it more now than they were a few decades previously, but it just kind of shows that different species are being affected differently. So the main threats to wildlife, there are lots, but here are 4 of the big ones, if you like. And again, might not be a surprise to everybody here, but habitat loss is one of the biggest ones. Climate change, and specifically the kind of the extreme weather events that are happening as a result of climate change. Wildlife trade, so that is both legal and illegal wildlife trade. So fishing is included as wildlife trade, and disease. So different diseases that are affecting different populations. Can anyone think of what like the common thing is in this?
It makes them endangered.
Absolutely. And who is doing that, do we think? Who is the, sort of what's the common cause behind all of these 4?
Humanity and their inventions.
Absolutely, yeah, humans. So the natural world is actually fine. It's us humans that are kind of changing things and moving things around a little bit that's causing a problem for non-human species. And whilst that sounds like a problem, it also sounds a bit cheesy, but it is also the solution. So if humans are the reason why these things are happening, then humans are also the thing that can help save the rest of these species. And actually, when you think about it, we also depend on all of this. We depend on the natural world to survive ourselves. So we also need to do all of this for us as well as for others. So that's why when we talk about our work at ZSL, our work is about inspiring, informing and empowering people to be that change, to protect and restore wildlife. Now this is a horrible slide with lots of words on it, and I won't go into a load of detail, but just to kind of give you a bit of an overview, when people think of ZSL, they often think of London Zoo, but they don't necessarily know the bigger picture of everything that we do. So ZSL is a much bigger charity than just London Zoo, and we have lots of different things going on. So our scientific arm, our research arm, is the Institute of Zoology. This is a collaboration between us and the University of UCL, and that's where these people, the people who work for our institute, are doing a lot of that scientific research to really understand what the problems are that are facing the natural world and developing these solutions to lots of different conservation challenges. Then we also have our science-led conservation field programs. So we're also working in 80 different countries around the world. We have 9 countries where we have offices, but we also actually support other organisations and work in over 80 different countries, including the UK, to reduce species extinction risk and improve ecosystem health. So if you like, we've got our science to really understand the problem, and then we've got our conservationists on the ground really implementing those solutions. But our zoos are a very important part of that as well. So we have 2 conservation zoos. We have London Zoo and Whipsnade Zoo. Has anyone been to Whipsnade before? No? Has anyone been to London before? Yeah. London Zoo? not just London. Yeah, a few people in London Zoo, but no one's been to Whipsnade before. Okay, so we have both zoos, and they're very, very different. To give you an idea of Whipsnade, Whipsnade has a lot of the big animals, the animals that need a lot more space than we can provide here at London Zoo. And to give you an example of that, the rhino habitat at Whipsnade is the same size as the entire London Zoo. So if London Zoo just had the same amount of space as Whipsnade, we'd only have rhinos and nothing else. But that just gives you a sort of difference of the scale. And our conservation zoos are an important part of this conservation work as well. So part of that work, which we'll talk about later, is about inspiring people and helping them feel connected to wildlife. But they also have a really important role to play in our direct conservation work as well. So across our two zoos, we have 20,000 different animals, part of different breeding programs, and helping to really sort of protect these species, which we'll talk about in a little bit more detail. And so across the whole organisation, these are the 4 areas of impact. So the 4 sort of ways in which we're protecting species, if you like. So we have protecting species directly. And so that's identifying and conserving the species that are most at risk of extinction. We also work to restore habitats and restore healthy ecosystems for these species to thrive. We work to train conservationists as well. So that is both in our education work with people who want to become conservationists, but also training professionals as well. So we deliver a lot of training to conservationists in conservation skills, as well as helping to foster the conservationists of the future. And then we also, our other area is creating change. So we want to create positive change for wildlife and people by inspiring and empowering everyone. So that is not just the people who come to our zoos, but also we do a lot of work with politicians. We work at as high as a government level. We do a lot around businesses and sustainable finance and sustainable business, as well as individual people and their individual actions. So in terms of the brief that we're giving you today, it mostly fits with our creating